I still can't believe Donald Trump won. I still cannot fucking believe that. A reality show TV star got fucking elected. Oh, Jesus there. Two of the worst fucking candidates ever to fucking face each other, in my humble fucking opinion. But what the fuck do I know? Evidently, I know a lot, considering a lot of the fucking emails I got and all the shit on Twitter. I got a lot of shit for my appearance on Conan, which I got to be honest with you guys, was not a fucking easy one to do. It was the day after the election. Everyone was in shock, I think including Trump supporters. Because I went back east and I talked to a couple friends of mine and they voted for Trump. And I was like, dude, I can't believe that guy won. And they were like, yeah, I can't fucking believe it either. So, I don't know. Maybe this is like when the Patriots beat the Rams. I have no fucking idea. But anyways, that was not an easy spot to be in, you know? And I stayed true to who I was, an uninformed jackass who can't fucking read out loud, who's into conspiracy theory. I talked about Hillary dressing up like a yak and fucking people under a mountain. I talked about Trump being a dope and that whole ridiculous shit about building a fucking wall. I trashed them both equally, but, you know, people who vote for colors, right? You got a blue tie, you can say nothing wrong. You got a red tie, you can't do anything wrong, right? I got so much fucking shit. It's so amazing how people hear things. My point in all of that was like, you know, it'd be kind of cool if we all just stopped yelling at each other. All right? All right, if you guys, if you want to hear my fucking theories, this is my theory. Okay, I think Trump got in because of 8 years of Obama and the progressive left. And I think they got in because of 8 years of George Bush. And Bush and Cheney. And I think they got in because of 8 years of Clinton. And I think Clinton got in because of 12 years of Reagan and Bush. It goes like way conservative, and then it goes way fucking liberal, and then it goes way conservative. You know what I mean? I mean, think about where America was, right? When Bush and Cheney were there. All right? And then 6 years later or so, during Obama's presidency, like Bruce Jenner transitioned, got her own show, and was named Woman of the Year. Okay, now that is not something that you would think could happen in 2007. 6 years later, boom, that's where the fuck it's at. And I don't know. And my problem with both sides is the way they ram their ideology down your fucking throat. And that if you have a difference of an opinion, you know, on the right, it means you're against America, you don't support the troops, and you're a socialist. And on the left, if you don't agree with them, you're a caveman, you're a fucking sexist, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're any of those fucking things. But both sides equally try to get you to lose your job, and they try to destroy your ability to earn a living because of your beliefs. And for the life of me, as confusing as the prevent defense is, can somebody please explain to me how if somebody says something politically or socially that you don't agree with, spawning a movement to get them to lose their fucking job, how that makes that person more supportive of the troops, America, less of a socialist, whatever the fuck it is you think they are, or how that makes them less racist, less homophobic. Like, I don't know. That doesn't work. Yelling at people, taking away their jobs. You know what I mean? It's like way back when the Dixie Chicks criticized George Bush. The fucking right, all of a sudden, they pressured radio stations to not play their music. They were fucking running over their CDs with steamrollers. And, you know, people are like, dude, what the fuck? You're going a little far. And it's like, no, they had a right to say that, and we had a right to respond. It's tit for tat. It's like, that's not tit for tat. You know, tit for tat is they trash George Bush, you defend George Bush, and you trash them. Trying to systematically destroy their career and their ability to make a living is not tit for tat. That's like somebody flicked your fucking ear, and then you took out a fucking knife and trying to cut their jugular. So, and personally speaking, I think both sides are really guilty of that. They're really guilty. When you get really far left and you get really far right, they're really guilty of just, they bully people, and they're so fucking wrapped up in that they're so goddamn right about everything that they really become condescending, insufferable assholes. And I don't know. So I try to stay in the middle, because I would never tell you who the fuck to vote for, nor did I ever on this thing. Unlike what most people saw. Dude, I got people on fucking Twitter. It's hilarious. Like, they're sitting there. First of all, they think they know me because they watched me on a talk show, and then they think they know how I voted. Like, the amount of people that thought I voted for Trump, and then the amount of people that thought I voted for Hillary. All the Trump people think I voted for fucking Hillary, and all the Hillary people think I voted for Trump. I didn't vote for either one of them. I told you guys right along. Bernie Sanders was my fucking guy. That was my fucking guy. And watching him getting boxed out by the media because they felt Hillary had more of a chance, and they didn't give a shit that they were just voting for just more of the same. The only thing I will commend with the right is they got their Bernie Sanders in. I mean, the guy is a fucking shit show, but at least they stuck by their rebel. I wish that they had done that I would have loved to have seen Bernie against fucking Donald Trump. I think Bernie would have had a better shot. I just think the Clintons had too much fucking baggage. And even as a Clinton supporter, that's fucking true. How little did Bill Clinton talk during that whole fucking time? He didn't talk at all. This is a former fucking president who had a successful presidency. I mean, even though he got impeached for sticking a cigar, lying about, Monica Lewinsky, he didn't talk. Like Al Gore lost to George Bush. He didn't use Bill Clinton. He goes, I got to get the fuck away from you, dude. You're a fucking nightmare. You're a fucking nightmare. You're a political fucking nightmare. And the dude's own wife had to do the exact same fucking thing. I don't know. They had a ton of fucking baggage, and Hillary supporters won't fucking look at it objectively at the same way Trump supporters won't look at that. I mean, I don't know. It's a fucked up time. But I will tell you this, though. The time for screaming and yelling at each other is over, I feel. And it would be nice is if those people who aren't crazy fucking left and crazy right could kind of maybe break bread a little bit, which I don't think is going to happen because of 8 years of Obama and 8 years of the progressive left becoming word police and social police and idea police and all of this stuff telling you what the fuck you're supposed to think about everything and what you're supposed to say and what word you're supposed to use. And I really think it's overly simplifying saying that the right voted the way they did because they want to say homophobic and racial slurs. Just turning people into that's just, like both of them. They always turn each other into like a cartoon. Like you ever notice like whenever like a Democrat gets in, the right totally overreacts and like it's going to be socialism. It's going to be like communist Russia. There's going to be terrorists running down the fucking street, And then whenever anybody in the right gets in, it's always like, this is like Germany in 1935. Every fucking time. They say that every fucking time. I'm not saying that one of those times it won't be fucking true, but they say it every fucking time and they completely freak the fuck out. And I don't know. And then when they get in, they ram their ideologies down the other person's throat. They have zero empathy for somebody else. They have zero empathy for how people want to raise their kids. And they just, both sides, they just like, we're 100% right, and you're going to fucking take this right down the throat. And I don't know. With each election, I think the pendulum keeps swinging farther and farther. But even if you're not fucking Democrat, you have to be proud of the last 8 fucking years. I mean, at least there was no cigars and pussies. There was no, they have weapons of mass destruction. Oops, we can't find any. Oh, now it's a liberation? There was none of that shit, right? Who knows? Who the fuck? I don't know what's going to happen, but, I'm no comfortable with this result than anybody else, but you wouldn't know that from all these fucking things, these emails. I'll read you, I'll try to get through these next 2 emails that I got. This is classic, like, political shit, how people, like, they just hear what they want to hear, right? So this guy writes me, and this guy is basically, I think, blaming me in a roundabout way for Donald Trump getting in, because God knows That's the kind of power the Monday Morning Podcast has, you know? Couple 100,000 downloads. I mean, that's it, dude. That's it. I can't believe I don't have Secret Service security right outside my door as I do this. Literally a podcast where I talk about fucking sports 90% of the time. I talk about conspiracy theory. I say I'm an idiot. I can't read out loud. You know, this guy, for some reason, is choosing to ignore all of this. I'm going to say because the person he wanted didn't get in. So here we go. Dear Freckles, I'm no rocket scientist, all right? Immediately going self-deprecating. Neither are you. Okay, agreed. And I think it's safe to assume the large majority of your listeners aren't either. Unlike you, I would never speak for them. I don't know who they are. Okay? But, you know, if you want to assume that, to continue on with your point, I'll go along with it. Most are like me. Average middle-class person has not done one fucking ounce of research for this, but this is how we build points. This is how I build a point. Most are like me. Average middle-class folk who like to laugh twice a week from our favorite comedian. See this? This is laying the groundwork. I feel an overhand right coming. You have swayed my opinion on several things over the years. Oh, Jesus. Most notably, I went from a Patriot hater to someone who supports them and agrees they are unfairly scrutinized by the league and other teams. Well, isn't that amazing? So I guess if I could sway you on the amount of air that should be in a football, I could sway you on who you're going to pick for the leader of the free world. Yeah, I guess that's the same. You know, I totally see that point. I don't think there's any sort of giant body of water that you're leaping over there. I don't. Okay, here we go. When I realized how much your opinions influence me, I realized how much they might influence others. Okay, here's the big failure here, buddy. Okay? You didn't agree with me on the Patriots. I brought you around. You didn't agree with me with my political opinion on Hillary Clinton. You didn't change. You know? I think that I can bring your fucking opinion around about using those savey save fucky fuck cards in your everyday bullshit life. But when I think it comes down to electing the leader of the free world, I think you go a little bit beyond the Monday Morning Podcast or the Thursday afternoon just before Friday Monday Morning Podcast where I scream, I'm just checking in on you like a fucking idiot for half a minute. All right, so here he goes with this. See, he's laid. See, he came out, I'm no rocket scientist, self-deprecating, okay? Then he goes, hey, and then he just goes, well, I'm going to assume that this is what your listeners are without doing any sort of research. And then I'm going to go, oh, you swayed me on this fucking basic bullshit horseshit that means absolutely nothing. Therefore, you could sway me on something that means, you know, Jesus Christ, dude, you walk through the mall and there's somebody sitting there going, hey, buddy, can I talk to you for a second? This is a self-fan. Look at this. You can spray some spritzer in and blah, 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 and all of a sudden you buy some little impulse buy thing. Then with your theory, that guy could also get you to vote for who the fuck he wants you to vote for. Anyways, continuing on. When I realized how much your opinion influenced me, I realized how much they might influence others and how these influences might have much larger implications than the NFL. Call me crazy, but it seems like you're going into paranoia now. After your polls said that your person was going to win, and now you're sitting there with your jaw on the ground, and now you're looking for a scapegoat, and here I am, a 48-year-old, bald, pasty fucking redhead. There's an easy target. Let's go after him. I love it, buddy. Let's do it. Fucking tar and feather me. Here we go. You have consistently and foolishly bashed Hillary so much more than you have Trump. Hilarious, right? So much more than Trump. I have an entire chunk of material on Donald Trump. And Trump was so fucking easy, I felt guilty when I was on stage. I did it when I was on Conan about building the fucking wall. How ridiculous an idea that is, how much money that was going to be. I did all of that. I always called him a dope. I always called him a reality TV show star. Didn't even remotely respect him as a businessman. I said I didn't believe that he was a billionaire. I said I don't think that he could get you $6,000 in cash if you gave him 6 or 7 weeks. I thought he was completely leveraged out. I made fun of his hair. I made fun of how he didn't say anything to anybody. He never said anything. It was the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. He would go like fucking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And someone would be like, how are you going to do that? And he would be like, oh, you'll see. You'll see. I was doing a bit in my act going, I want to use that with my wife. just make all these outrageous claims about what a great husband I'm going to be. And then when she gives me shit, well, what are you going to do to prove yourself? Oh, you'll see. You'll see. No, you need to tell me. Well, I'm not going to give away my strategies. Then you'll steal them. I did all of that, right? And then Hillary, I said that she was part of the Bilderberg group. I talked about the Hillary Foundation and how they fucking been living off of that shit. They threw a $3 million wedding for their daughter. All of that type of shit. All of her fucking felony charges and everything, which, of course, all Hillary supporters are like, those were unfounded, they were not proven. Yet, with fucking Donald Trump, 6 or 7 people say that he sexually assaulted them, which I fucking believe. I believe that, too. That girl, when she went, get real, which I also said on the podcast, and I was like, dude, he definitely did that shit. You didn't hear any of this shit, did you, sir? You know why? Because you got fucking blue ties stuck in your fucking ears. All right, let's go. Continuing to blame me. All right. I evidently had so much more. I trashed Hillary. The entire election, you have unfairly focused hate on her. And at the end of your tirade, you tack on, oh, and he's a cunt too. You don't seem to realize the influence you have on people who listen to you twice a week, every week. Sir, you've done nothing to prove that I have influence. This is all something that you built in your head when you were hyperventilating that this fucking monster got into the office. All right? And Hillary's a monster too. Okay? And that right there was my, oh, and she's a cunt too. I didn't like either one of these people. And that was my message throughout all of this. Okay? And that's just my fucking opinion, which I'm allowed to have. Aren't I? All right. You most likely influenced at least one voter to vote for Donald Trump. And for that, you should be fucking ashamed. Dude, this is all fucking conspiracy theory. Because you got somebody to cast one vote for the person that I didn't vote for, you should be fucking ashamed. Because I only see the faults of the guy with the red tie, and I don't see any faults with the person with the blue blouse. All right, you are so stupid. Here we go. This is always great to get somebody to listen to your opinion. Usually what you should do, you usually should end with the insult. Say your point, and then you tag on, you fucking asshole, because then they'll at least hear your point. But if you start this, if you front end load, all right, you are so stupid that in one sentence you go from saying how they never talk about this issue or that issue, then conclude by saying, but I haven't watched any of the debates or kept up on this at all. You fucking idiot. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't think that Trump supporters didn't say the same thing? They did, buddy, because I have the exact same fucking email from the other side. All right? Which, with my theory that I'll now use, that also has no research behind it, I would say that you guys all sort of canceled each other out. So whatever influence I had, I influenced somebody the other way too. So I am completely exonerated here. And if you look at the popular vote, it was almost right down the fucking middle. So there you go. So he calls me a fucking idiot, all right? They never talk about climate change. It's something you've said on Monday. The day before the election. You have no clue what you're talking about. Well, first of all, I said they never do. I didn't say that one or the other, so that was an even-handed one, right? She goes, Clinton has made it a major point and supports the Paris Agreement. Nothing I ever saw, she made it a major point. She's commented on it. It goes to the Paris Agreement. Not that you even know what the fuck that is, you freckled fuck. Of course. See, this guy, once again, making assumptions. I know what the Paris Agreement is. I've seen it on The Daily Show. I saw when they all talked about it. I saw when they went there and the right finally said, and I actually talked about this on the podcast, sir, when the right went there and they finally said, okay, after denying it, they finally said global warming does exist, but it's too late to do anything about it now. All right? I believe I compared that to when Pete Rose finally admitted that he bet on baseball and said, now can you let me in the Hall of Fame? I distinctly remember saying that. Not that you remember that, sir, because you got your blue bonnet stuffed in your fucking ear. All right? I also actually looked up weeks ago, like, when did people first start talking about climate change? As I was driving down the street and I was listening and they were saying, you know, I drove down the street that morning. I heard that on NPR they say, scientists say the Great Barrier Reef is now dead. And then they went on to talk about the Cubs, which of course struck me as funny that the whole rest of the report should have been about that. Or that swirl of trash in the Pacific Ocean and all that shit, which none of these guys really talk about. They do a little bit of lip service, That's about it. But they're not going to fucking do anything about it. And even if they try to, they can't because these corporations own them. Which is why I like the lunatic guys. I never vote for the fucking mean people. I don't know, whatever. Let's just plow ahead. So anyways, yeah, I actually looked it up. And the first time climate change was brought up, somebody had like a theory, before it was even happening, was projecting that the population kept growing, that the theory was that we would heat up the planet. They did that in the early 1800s. I couldn't believe it. And then there was a few more things about it. I can't remember, this was weeks ago, but like in the late 50s was the first definitive paper saying, since the 1950s, scientists have been telling people that the pollutions and shit that we've been putting in the air or whatever, like I'm not a scientist, okay? I am just a regular guy, but I read, they have known about it or had the attention called to it since the late 1950s, okay? So I am a moron, but I'm not as dumb as you think I am, sir. And one of the reasons why I underplay myself is because I don't want to be another fucking jerk off who's just fucking, getting in your fucking ear like some people in my business. Okay? So anyways, he goes, Trump has said repeatedly that climate change is a hoax that was created by the Chinese. He said it repeatedly. I'm going to look up the internet, see how many times he repeatedly said that. Usually when people say repeatedly, it means it's a quote that somebody said like 7 years ago. One time. All right. And yet you blindly and ignorantly spew your unfounded bullshit. Dude, you just defined this podcast. Why are you acting like this is Meet the Press? He goes, I'm not a genius. Oh, he's back to being humble again. I'm not a genius as you call me a fucking idiot, all right? I'm not a political scientist. Now he's doing humble pie. He's got his hands up. But I took just a few hours out of my life to research both of their positions on crucial issues and get an understanding of them. Oh, yeah, I never did that. I didn't do that at all. And I'm not the one speaking to thousands of people twice a week. You should truly be horrified at the thought you had anything to do with this fucking train wreck. I love how do you think that Hillary has any responsibility for the campaign that she ran? I mean, from day one, her campaign could not use an unbelievable asset, which was former President Bill Clinton. Because of all of the shit show that guy was, both professionally and in his personal life. Her husband, it was a former president that was wildly popular. She couldn't even use the guy because of all the fucking skeletons in his fucking closet. And together they both had skeletons, It's a very polarizing candidate that she picked. And I thought in key moments, where she really could have come up with something clever to say, she didn't have it. Look, sir, be honest with me. What really gets you into office? Your policy or playing the saxophone on fucking Arsenio Hall? Or not sticking your head out of a tank and looking like a fucking dope? Or getting too excited and going, yeah! I mean, that's the kind of shit that brings people down, more so than anything else. And dude, that's not my fault if you want to fucking blame me for that, but that is the truth. So you can actually win an election like you just saw that fucking dope Trump do without saying a fucking thing, but being good at trashing somebody's fucking shirt, which is basically how he got in. Promising a bunch of shit, not saying what he was going to do, and then go, look at that guy down there, he's fucking clueless, and everybody just laughing. Hillary didn't have any of that. She had no fucking swagger. She just... Dude, I remember when she did that hot sauce moment on that fucking radio show, and the host was going, everybody there was African American, and she goes, what's your favorite, what's your go-to thing, what do you always carry around with you? And she said hot sauce, which evidently was true, okay? But it immediately looked like she was pandering, and the guy said, are you just trying to pander? Sounds to me like you're just trying to pander to black people. And rather than just saying like, no, man, I like it, I've been blah, 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 she goes, is it working? I mean, that right there, why the fuck would you say that? Why would you say it? And when I saw her say that, I assumed, I said, she is pandering. And then people were going like, well, actually, it's true. And then I looked it up and I go, oh, it is fucking true. But still, this is the thing. If I was really into fucking hot sauce and I was fucking running and I was on an all-black radio station, I wouldn't have brought it up. because it would have looked like pandering. And then if I did bring it up, sorry about my voice, I sound like I'm going through puberty here. Even if I did brought it up, then I would have been honest about it. Been like, no, I know it sounds like I'm pandering, but there are some crossover things. I actually really enjoy it. So, you mean, she has to take some sort of the responsibility that, she couldn't beat this fucking nitwit. All right, over 300 of the top economists, I'm not saying that she's not an evil cunt, too. Over 300 of the top economists, including 8 Nobel laureates, came together to say, I don't know if I said that right, that a Trump presidency would mean turmoil in the American and as a result, the world's economy. Over 350 of the best scientists in the world came together to say his presidency would be a disaster for the entire planet because of his dangerous stance on climate change, not to mention Russia literally threw a party in the Parliament building as soon as Trump was elected. That actually, I'm happy. I like when Russia and the United States are on friendly fucking terms. It would be nice that we're not going in a direction to fucking keep pointing missiles at one another. And, for as much as Al Gore, I loved his stance on climate change. He wasn't able to get a fucking thing done. He wasn't able to stop it. He wanted to fucking, you get a few policies in there. They just ignore it. And these guys are only in there for 48 years. They just wait them out. I remember when Al Gore wanted to have a car that got 100 miles to a gallon. I was excited. I was in my 20s. I wanted to buy the car. They just kept delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. And then they got out of office. Al didn't beat Bush, and then they just scrapped it, and it was fucking over. And that's what they do, because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. You honestly think Hillary Clinton would have stopped global warming? If you talk, all those 350 scientists that are all experts, you know what else they've said? They said it's too late. It was too late by the 1980s. It's or something in the 90s. It's been too late. It's almost like not even a fucking issue anymore. I mean, it is an issue, but the only way to do it was we would all have to fucking go back to living like cavemen, and 90% of us would have to die and just kind of sit there and not do jumping jacks to add to the fucking heat and hope this thing could heal itself. Other than that, I don't know what the fuck you're going to do. Because everybody's running around just having to get a flat screen TV in every fucking room. I love how it's like the political candidates are responsible for it. It's like we're just as responsible as anybody else, aren't we? I don't know. Jesus Christ, this is like Meet the Press here. Anyway, so the next time you open that stupid fucking freckle-crusted mouth, this guy's like more enlightened than me, by the way. Remember, your words have power. You are an influential person, whether you want to believe it or not. I don't expect you to read this tirade on the podcast, but I hope you read it and realize what a fool you've been. Why? Because I don't agree with you? Because you have all of this, admittedly, none of this was researched? If you just did 45 minutes of research, earlier you told me a couple hours, you could see that, yes, Hillary made mistakes with the email and Benghazi. Yeah, she made mistakes, okay. But nothing she ever did was criminal. Exactly. All right, well, Trump, he made some mistakes with women, but none of it was ever criminal, or he would have been fucking in jail, right? He would have been brought up on charges, right? The charges would have stuck. You can do the same thing. You're going to completely... I like how you don't bring up the fucking Hillary Foundation or any of that type of shit either. Or any of the other fucking... all that other, whatever, the fucking Whitewater, all of that fucking crap. You don't bring up any of that shit. You don't bring up the fact that they're both worth hundreds of millions of fucking dollars. And that's not a red flag to you. These down-to-earth Democrats who are men of the people, they're worth a couple $100 million. The presidency pays $500,000 a year. How do they do it? And don't give me that horse shit about they give political speeches. The fucking political speeches that they give, okay? Can you at least agree with me on this, sir? That's just those people washing their bribe money. Those are the people that put him in office, and then they go back and they give a speech, and they give him $300,000, $250,000 to fucking speak there for him. Give me a fucking break. All right? All right, so that's his fucking thing. So he thinks I'm a moron, and I got Trump to be fucking elected. Okay, now here's somebody exact opposite. Bill, you really are uneducated on Trump. Bill, you need to run away from the progressives. This person thinks I'm a progressive liberal. Listen to the exact same podcast, sir. Move the fuck out of California or whatever liberal spot you're living in. Now, this is what I can tell you immediately, is the last person who wrote this email is not listening to this at all. Is already yelling at his fucking windshield about what a dope this guy is. He goes, I just heard your podcast about the tearful Democrats. Yeah, he listened to my podcast, and he thinks that I'm a progressive liberal. And for instance, you had no clue who is going to pay for the wall. Dude, I've said all along I have no clue. I don't know shit about football. I watch fucking Patriots Seattle. I can't name half the fucking people. All right, here we go. You have no true... This is the funniest thing I've ever... One of the funny things I've read. You have no clue who's going to pay for the wall. Trump had 100 rallies where he asked the audience, who's going to pay for the wall? And everyone would shout, Mexico. Do you realize, sir, that all you were doing was just repeating what he said was going to happen, but he never said how he would get Mexico? Sir, just imagine you didn't like your next-door neighbor, okay? And you were sick of him cutting across your lawn or whatever the fuck he was doing. You know, cutting across the corner of your lawn and making the grass go flat, and you were fucking sick of it. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say you decided to build a wall and you decided that he was going to pay for it. How would you go about doing that? Exactly. Now, let's move it up to a fucking country level. So we're going to build this wall, and we're going to... How is he going to make Mexico pay for it? And if you tell me it's only a guess, because as far as I watched, he never said how. Economic sanctions. You're going to pressure them into fucking doing it? Okay, anyway, so here we go. How is it that those mobs, great word, dude, are more educated than you? Who the fuck is saying that the benefit of the walls will be jobs? Who are you listening to? And who said Trump doesn't want health care? He's been really left on health care, saying people with no insurance should be able to get treatment and care from way back when he was running in the primaries. See, now this guy thinks Trump is left on this. See, this is why. This is why, sir, the first person that you think I had influence, it's like people just hear the podcast. You guys already have your fucking minds made up. And then you listen to the podcast, okay? And it's like watching a football game. And you're listening to Chris Collinsworth. I met him one time when I did Inside the NFL. Chris Collinsworth goes, everybody thinks I hate their fucking team and like the other team better. And that's what you guys are doing with this podcast, all right? You guys are listening to this shit. You lean left or you lean right. And when I trash your guy, you think I'm only trashing your man or woman, and I'm trashing it more than the other people. And then if and when your person loses, you then blame my podcast. All right? You guys went out and you voted for who the fuck you wanted to vote for, and you listened to the information that you wanted to listen to, and you listened to whatever the fuck you were receptive to that vibed in your life, which is the exact reason why when I was doing this bit on stage talking about Trump supporters going, how can you support this guy? He's got people openly yelling the N-word at his rallies. There's video of that. Doesn't that bother you? And this is what they would say. Well, you know, I said this on Conan. They would be like, you know, I'm not into that. I'm not into that. But Hillary... And what it is what tracks for people is what's going to affect their fucking life. And unfortunately, when it comes to fucking racism, it doesn't track with white people because it's not a factor in their life. White people are not victims of racism, despite the fact they say that they are when they talk about like affirmative action. That's racist because they don't understand that the reason why affirmative action came about was because racist white people would not hire people who were not white. So they literally had to come up with a law to force white people to give other people a chance. And then what people do is they just look at that moment. They don't look at the history of it. They just look right then and there. So, I don't know. I think that, look, I understand that right now, believe me, do I understand, going to comedy shows and seeing the way the fucking crowd is reacting, that this is a very volatile fucking time. This guy goes on to talk about how fucking people thought Republicans were being dramatic when they said no to World War III, vote Trump. But the Democratic National, the DNC, I don't even know what the fuck it stands for, forced Russia to, why isn't it DNP, Democratic National Party? Make my life easier. Force Russia to dump tons of money into hypersonic nuclear missiles. They have these fucking hypersonic carriages that can hold 16 nuclear warheads that can penetrate our missile shields, blah, 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 and all this type of shit. Reputable scholars were saying that we're moving towards World War III if you elect Hillary. Now they're all changing their tune thanks to President Trump, former host of The Apprentice. Get on board with Trump. Your annoying voice should be on our side. See, he doesn't think I'm fucking on his side. You don't think I'm on your side. Both of you have scholars and scientists that say your point of view is right, because what you guys do is you go to I'mRight.com and you memorize a bunch of horse shit. And then when your person doesn't win, you then fucking blame a podcast. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you guys. I respect both of your opinions. I don't agree on either one of them. I usually don't say who I vote for because I think it's a private matter, but I did not vote for either one of them. I voted for somebody else. Bernie wasn't on the ballot. I voted for somebody else that I thought was the best candidate, not who the fuck I thought was going to win. And I think that's a major problem, is that people don't want what's right. They want to win, you know? So they will go with a candidate that is a warmonger or a fucking racist or a corrupt piece of shit, and they don't give a fuck as long as they're wearing the right fucking color tie. All right, and now I'm done. All right, let's do some advertising, everybody. But I do have to say this, is let's just say whatever Trump is going to do. All it's doing for me, you know, he appoints this guy and he's got this fucking past where he allegedly said something about Jews, you know, wasn't proven or whatever, but he's got this fucking background. Like, all that does for me is just inspires me to become more of a fucking understanding person and try to listen to people. And as long as you just take that, like, that attitude, you know, I really don't think a president should make up your mind on who you should be afraid of and what we need to do and what these people are going to do to us or what they're not going to do to us just because they fucking said it. I don't listen to that. What I like to do is I listen to what the president says, and then I go to the country and I go to their fucking thing and I try to find some English story about what the fuck they're saying about us, and then I try to figure out what the middle is. All right? I don't know. I don't give a shit what color your fucking tie is. All right. So white people, if you're nervous, okay? Liberal whites, if you're really a fucking good liberal white, you'll become even more fucking understanding of people that aren't white and that are gonna, you know, bear the brunt of what this guy might fucking do. I think it's your responsibility to become even more understanding. You know what I mean? And stop making everything about yourself and your fucking world, because the mainstream is already about that. All right? There you go. I'm off my... You can take it or don't. You know, it's up to fucking you. All right? But I don't want to hear you crying about somebody taking your fucking... I can't stand listening to white people talking about, oh, they're taking the country away from us. It's like, if you looked at a fucking census, you idiot, you know, you're fine. Okay? All the water parks, they're made for you. No one gives a second look when you show up. Like, what's his element doing here? They're excited you're there, and within 2 seconds, there's someone in a mascot outfit fucking hugging you. There you go. All right? You're going to be fine.